Hello and welcome to Loredive, where we dive through the lore of all of our favorite games. Today we're going to be going deeper into Dead by Daylight, specifically the stories around the original 4 survivors, Dwight, Claudette, Meg, and Jake. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Dwight Fairfield, the nervous leader. The first survivor we're going to be looking at is Dwight, who might also be considered the face of the survivors for the series. Dwight has always been a scrawny, dorky kid, and despite his efforts, has never been able to gain the popularity that he desired. To make matters worse, he wasn't particularly good at sports, and his grades were average at best. One day, he and his co-workers at Dwight's dead-end job went into the woods as a part of a team-building exercise. While out there, Dwight's boss broke out some of his homemade moonshine. Dwight only remembered taking the first sip before waking up alone the next morning. Feeling like a laughingstock, Dwight tried to find his way out of the woods on his own, but unfortunately, he was never heard from again. Despite his looks, Dwight has the mentality of a true survivor and is willing to do whatever it takes to escape. Like all survivors, Dwight has perks that reflect his unique personality. Dwight's perks all reflect his role as the de facto group leader, and are primarily focused on getting survivors to work better as a team. His first perk is Bond. Bond allows Dwight to see other characters' auras if they are within a certain distance of him. This can allow him to find other survivors more easily, and allows them to work together to get generators up and running. His second perk is Prove Thyself. Dwight feels pressured by others and will feel the need to prove himself. This will increase the speed he performs any action when there are other survivors within an 8-meter radius of him. Dwight's last unique perk is Leader. Despite never having had experience leading others, Dwight is a natural, and his aptitude at encouraging others will give them a speed boost at working towards their different objectives if they are within an 8-meter radius of him. Despite being stuck in a horrifying situation, Dwight has found his strength when it comes to facing off against the killers that hunt him. His ability to lead and desire to help others escape fuel his hope against the entity's overwhelming presence. Claudette Morel, the studious botanist. From an early age, Claudette has had a very scientific mind, which opened many doors for her in life, including a full-fledged scholarship. Taking this chance, she decided to leave Montreal despite her timid and introverted nature, and set off to start her life in earnest. Due to her shyness, the majority of Claudette's time was spent online and in chat rooms, teaching others botany tips and tricks, while avoiding face-to-face interaction. One day after a bus ride back from the city, she became lost while trying to walk through the woods, and unfortunately never managed to find her way back out. It wasn't until after a week or so of her no longer posting online that people finally began to wonder what had happened to her. Claudette's unique skills allow her to act as the healer of the group as she pulls from her scientific and past botany knowledge, and combines it with the power taken from the entity. Her first skill is Empathy. Empathy allows her to see injured survivors' auras within a certain distance until it reaches its highest rank, after which it obtains an infinite range and will allow her to see an injured survivor no matter how far away they are from her. This can allow her to track down and heal injured survivors, or avoid situations where a survivor is being chased by a killer. Her second perk is Botany Knowledge. Botany allows Claudette to utilize plants found in the entity's woods to help heal herself or others. When doing any healing action while botany is equipped, the healing action is sped up by a percentage. Claudette's third ability is Self-Care. Self-care is arguably considered the most useful skill in Dead by Daylight. Claudette's knowledge of medicine and anatomy allows her to heal herself when injured without relying on another survivor. Though at a reduced healing speed, self-heal has the added positive effect of increasing the speed that she can heal when she is using a medkit. Alright, I need to go off on an aside here for a moment, and the reason for that is because it has been announced that self-care as well as a few other skills will be changed in an upcoming patch. Now these ideas haven't been finalized, but we have some idea of what the changes are going to be like. The current idea for the upcoming change to self-care is that if you are trying to heal yourself and are interrupted for any reason, you will have to start the healing process all over again. However, if you are healed from any other source, such as a medkit or another survivor, the process from those sources will remain, but any progress made from self-care on its own will need to be done over again. Despite her now being trapped in the entity's garden, Claudette finds hope in the darkness. She was never good in social situations and found interactions to be unnatural and forced. Here she is useful, and her skills and botany knowledge can help save a life even as the endless despair threatens to consume her. Meg Thomas, the energetic athlete. Meg has always been a force to be reckoned with. Whether this was due to her mother's style of parenting or her absentee father figure who left when she was still an infant, Meg could be defined as being a troubled teen. Luckily, an athletics coach managed to encourage her to channel her misspent energy into the racetrack. She managed to motivate herself and become the star of the track and field team, earning her an athletics scholarship. Sadly, when her mother fell ill, Meg gave up her chance at college to care for her. She never gave up running though, and would often take long runs through the nearby woods to help clear her head. After departing into the woods one day, Meg never returned, and no body was ever found. Meg's time as an athlete has allowed her to pull her own brand of energy from the entity. Her first perk is Quick and Quiet. The sound made when vaulting over obstacles and jumping quickly out of lockers is minimized. However, if another vault or jump is made within the perk's cooldown time, it will alert the killer like normal. Her second perk is Adrenaline. Adrenaline causes Meg to immediately heal one health state and begin sprinting at 150% of her normal speed once the exit gates are powered. If this happens while she's stuck in the dream realm after being placed there by the nightmare, she will also wake up. If Meg is on the hook when the gates have been powered, she will gain her benefits after she has been taken off the hook. After adrenaline has been used, Meg will go into a state of exhaustion. Adrenaline, however, ignores exhaustion if Meg is already suffering from the effect. Meg's third perk is Sprint Burst. When beginning to run, Meg will start sprinting at 150% of her normal speed. After Sprint Burst has been activated, Meg will become exhausted, preventing her from reusing Sprint Burst or any other abilities that exhaustion would prevent from being used for a short duration. Exhaustion is another aspect of the game that will be changed soon. Originally, after you use a perk that causes exhaustion, a timer will begin. How long exhaustion is in effect vary depending on the perk and its tier. In an upcoming patch, the exhaustion timer will freeze if a character is currently running, making it harder for the perk to become active multiple times while being chased by a killer. Meg now runs through the realm of the entity, and in doing so understands that speed and coming in first isn't always your main goal, as sometimes reaching the finish line last is perfectly acceptable, as long as you're still breathing at the end. Jake Park, the solitary survivor. Jake always felt pressured when growing up as the son of a wealthy CEO. When his brother graduated with honors from Yale, the pressure on Jake intensified. He had never felt like the academic type, and was never able to make his father understand his rejection of the expensive education that he was offering. Finally, he snapped, and dropped out of school entirely to live on his own in seclusion at the edge of the nearby woods. While he never spoke to his father again, his mother would check on him occasionally. It was she who noticed when he went missing. It was she who called the police. And it was she who pleaded for help after the search was called off, as Jake was considered just another casualty of the woods. After living on his own for so long, Jake has learned what it takes to rough it on your own. These are skills that have allowed him to pull his own unique perks from the entity. Jake's first perk is Iron Will. Iron Will allows Jake to enter a meditative state that will stop him from grunting in pain. At lower ranks, he will only remain silent if standing still, but at the highest tier of his perk, he will remain silent at all times. Jake's second perk is Calm Spirit. Sensing Jake's animal-like spirit allows Jake to move around the procedural without disturbing the crows that act as the entity's agents. Calm Spirit is not effective though if Jake physically touches the crows. Calm Spirit is another perk that's going to have a change to it. In this change, Calm Spirit isn't only going to affect the woodland creatures. Calm Spirit will also make the user calm when dealing with various situations, making them immune to screaming in these certain circumstances. This could possibly include when being placed on hooks, and being driven to madness by the doctor. Jake's third perk is Saboteur. learning to work without tools. Saboteur allows Jake to sabotage hooks, as well as certain traps in procedural without a toolbox. If Jake has a toolbox in his possession, Saboteur will increase the toolbox's effectiveness when sabotaging. Jake is a living dichotomy, part wealthy elite and part feral animal. Remove the killers from the entity's realm and Jake would feel right at home, removed from technology and civilization. Using his honed survival skills, Jake is willing to do anything to ensure his own survival, as he knows that before you can do anything else, you must survive. Thank you for watching this second episode of Loredive for Dead by Daylight. I'll be working on the original set of killers next, so please stick around if you want to see those as well. Also, feel free to check out the rest of the channel. I'm certain that you'll probably find something there that you'll like. At least I hope you will. And I'll see you next time.